Yeah. Hello again, everyone. Hi. So, my name is Nini Chong, and I am the founder and producer, and also your host for tonight. So, we are back with Her Rise Story virtual talk show with our international speaker edition. And I want to tell you a little bit of about this lady. So, I met her during the Global Marketing Summit, right? So she was one of the speakers. She was on stage, and she was so hot. So I was talking to my husband. I was talking to my husband about it, about her, and I was saying, "Wow, um, tech girls are really the new hot babes, right?" So, you know so I just think that right now, when you are a woman, when you are strong, when you have substance, when you know what you're talking about, when you're out there and you're confident about yourself, it's that's really 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 hot. And we said hi to each other, or rather I said hi to her, maybe. And we were networking with so many people from all around the world. All, most of us are marketeers, online or offline, and we had so much fun connecting with each other. And I guess for the 4 or 5 days that we were there, we became like really really good friends. We went everywhere around Mumbai together. So we had so much fun. And today I'm so lucky. So we've been talking about this, talking about running a conference or workshop together since we met, and our dream today has come true. So I would like to welcome Amanda Bester on the show. Hi,
Hi,
Amanda.
Nini.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and yourself?
Wow.
You really made me laugh in that intro.
you know, I'm sure you remember it, right? The
Yeah.
story that I posted of you.
Yes, I remember you coming up to me during like the lunch break or the networking and saying, I have to show you this Instagram story. Can I tag you? At least you got my good side, so thanks.
So yeah, so it was
Mm.
really good, right? There was such a good trip. We met so many friends in Mumbai during that time.
That was surreal. I mean, yeah, it was quite funny how like international travelers kind of band together.
Yeah.
So it was like we didn't really hang out with much of the local Indians that could have probably really taken us out to all the great places. We kind of just winged it on ourselves. So
Yeah.
we made friends with a friend from Kuwait, from Russia, from you
Uh,
guys from Malaysia, and we were from South Africa. It was quite an eclectic mix. It was just so random, but like an unforgettable experience. It was really great.
right. So we met like
Yeah.
in the afternoon, and by the end of the day, we were almost bad influence to each other because
Yes.
our table just went empty, and our husbands were looking for us, and we were outside having fun, talking to each other, getting to know each other, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was really good, right? And we would.
Until we got called back into the award ceremony. Yeah. Oh man, good times.
I wish that we could travel again soon, right? We could travel together, actually.
As soon as the lockdown's over, I'm on a plane.
Yeah,
Cannot wait.
yeah.
Once the travel bug bites, it is so hard. I can only imagine. Like, I mean, there's no doubt there is uh, a lot of blessings and things to be grateful for, like during this lockdown, slowing down the whole pace of life, not having to worry about traffic jams or, like you said, school runs and that. But, cabin fever no doubt will set in. And I think probably, thank goodness for technology and internet and video conferencing. Otherwise, we would feel more so disconnected. It doesn't feel so bad when you at least get to engage and, keep in touch with people through video calls.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
And
definitely
we've
makes
been
it
talking
easier.
about this for the longest time, and we had to wait for coronavirus to happen and lock down everyone globally at home. Then we get to really do this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So how is it like, right? I know that you are in a lockdown too,
Hmm.
back in
Um,
South Africa.
yeah, 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm. What do you
They've
call your lockdown there?
Sorry,
What do you call your lockdown there?
lockdown,
A lockdown. Oh, all right. Okay.
lockdown,
We have.
locking you down. Like no one's allowed to go out. Like they'll patrol you. They're patrolling the roads and roadblocks everywhere around the country. So you're
Mhm.
only allowed to leave your house for essential needs. If you need to go and buy groceries or go to the doctor or hospital, get medical supplies. Those are the only conditions that you are allowed to go out.
Okay.
No
So.
walking your dogs allowed, no going for jogs or runs, no visiting friends or family, none of the sort. So it's definitely quite challenging, but I think it's best to do hardcore lockdown,
Mhm.
to flatten the curve that everyone is so familiar with, and we can see the results are working. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. So
So we hope and pray it's only going to last 3 weeks. So
3 weeks.
yeah.
Okay. But
Mm.
essential services is still ongoing right now. They are still operating right now. Uh,
There's lots of essential services happening. So grocery stores are open, all the restaurants and retail outlets are closed,
mhm.
pharmacies are open.
Mhm.
A lot of courier delivery services are going up now. I think e-commerce is definitely
Boom.
booming on the app. So a lot of businesses are trying to, realize. I'd say like the lockdown is pretty much that firecracker that needed to ignite so many businesses and peoples in terms of digitally transforming their businesses and
Mhm.
to going more online and more digital. Like
Mhm.
there's this this sort of recurring joke, have you all, of
Mhm.
who's the main influencer in digital transformation in your business? Is it the CEO, the CIO, a digital consultant, or is it coronavirus? And then everyone taking this coronavirus. That's the one that's really forced us to go into digital transformation, and everyone's just doing everything that needs to be done in order to do so. So
Mhm.
yeah, interesting times.
He's- So let's talk about it, right? So um, let's start talking about you first, right? Actually we
Yeah.
agree with
And
that.
these people are like, who is this chick?
Okay, so let's talk about
Okay.
you first. So yeah, we had this long chat in Mumbai about how you started, your startup, how you um, started being in the tech industry, right? Like, and your tech is like really deep tech, right? And
Yeah.
you're doing consulting and all that. And um, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the company that you're running right now. Let's
Okay.
talk about you.
All right. So yeah, I suppose for those that don't know me, which is probably 90% of everyone joining the call, because I'm not very well known in Asia. But I've only had the best experiences in my visits and travels to Asia. It's just incredible. But on that side note, so born and raised Cape Townian in South Africa. My background is in digital advertising,
Mm-hmm.
specifically the technical operation sides of it. So managing and online advertising campaigns in
Mm-hmm.
various ad tech systems and programs, and I've been doing that for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, throughout my career, I can see how the digital industry has evolved at such a rapid pace. And so certain ways of how you would trade media online, if you wanted to advertise on a publisher's website or on a blog,
Mm-hmm.
or you wanted to monetize your blog or your website through advertising, it's changed. It's become a lot more automated. It's become a lot more programmatic and a lot more technical,
Mm-hmm.
which can often be overwhelming to even the professionals, let alone
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah.
general public. And so there's plenty of ad agencies and experienced digital marketers, and big corporations and companies out there in the market.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of saw that there was a gap in the market in terms of supporting SME businesses, local businesses that don't necessarily have the six-figure budgets
Mm-hmm.
to hire fully blown ad agencies and corporates to help them market or monetize their businesses. So in that, I started my consulting firm called Pragmatica. So
Okay.
it's sort of a play on words between pragmatic and programmatic. So I specialize in programmatic media trading.
Mm-hmm.
So for those that don't know what that means or what that is, the best, simplest way I can explain it would be if you have an understanding of how the stock market operates,
Mm-hmm.
trading stocks online in real time, all sorts of sophisticated technologies and traders. The advertising industry has pretty much evolved into that same space. So it's pretty much the stock market, but for ad land.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, just helping businesses consulting in that way. So I kind of specialize more in terms of the monetization side, not necessarily the marketing aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone is very familiar with, you have a business, you need to get your product, your services, and your business out there. How are you going to market it and advertise it? Google ads, Facebook. Maybe you have a budget, you run some ads and that. There's the flip side to the coin, is if you have an audience, and you are producing content and generating lots of content.
Mm-hmm.
And people are very used to consuming content for free online.
Mm-hmm.
There's, especially in South Africa and probably most emerging markets, we're very accustomed and used to, we don't mind paying to read for a newspaper or for a magazine, or going to the cinema, but when it comes to reading an article online on a digital publication, it's always been free. So the best way, in order to, if what your core product, if it's being for free, how are you actually going to make revenue? How are you going to keep the lights switched on? And that's usually where you'll plug in advertising of some sort, or get a brand and sponsor your content or your publication. So that's the sort of area that I sort of specialize in, is helping on the strategy on that, and then also facilitating the implementation thereof.
Awesome. All right. So
Yeah.
I know that you were working with an agency. You used to work for an agency, and then you decided to be on your own, right? To start Pragmatica. And
Yeah.
why? Why? In briefly, why did you do it? Why did you take that transition?
So there's a couple reasons, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
So my career, I sort of stumbled into this digital advertising industry. It was by fluke. And most of what I've done has been self-taught, because there never really been formal training programs. You don't exactly go to college or university and learn how to be a programmatic media trader or a digital campaign manager or digital marketer. Only of recent years, you can now do short online courses, but predominantly a lot of it is teaching yourself and learning as you go. And so as I could see how the industry was quickly evolving, sometimes the companies that I had worked for, I could kind of sense that they weren't necessarily evolving at a pace that I needed to evolve for my career. So I would take the opportunity and get a job with another company that was perhaps at the forefront of the technology and the industry trends, so that I could keep up with the pace of the industry. And subsequently, sort of built a reputation and a name for myself of being, like a handful of people in South Africa that sort of specialized in this very niche field of business in terms of programmatic supply side management. Again, not going to go into all the gory details of explaining what all that means. I don't think it's that important, but Google it or check me out on LinkedIn if you want to. And then, so when that was a trend, I was employee number one for 2 programmatic tech startup companies to help implement that side. And I learned a lot on that. I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit, that purpose to run my own business, sort of call my own shots kind of thing. So I got really far and I learned a lot throughout my career working for companies in different areas of the industry so that I could get a proper holistic understanding of the industry and how the businesses operate and how the ecosystem is connected. And then subsequently saw a gap in the market. A lot of the relationships that I had built up with clients over the years would often come to me, ask me for advice, forward me emails to ask what my opinion was and should they go ahead with the solution or not. So I realized I was doing consulting work before I even realized I was doing it. And subsequently, I got a job offer or a referral, to which I kind of said I didn't really wasn't interested in getting another job in doing that particular role and function that I've known for doing. I wanted to learn and reach another level in my career. But I suppose I kind of felt like I reached a plateau in my career in terms of the jobs that I was getting offered and opportunities that I had. And if I wanted to step it up a notch, then I have to, do that. And so I thought, well, no time like now. The job offer that I had received, I managed to convert it into my first client on a 6-month retaining contract. So my journey in going into starting my own business was pretty much a roller coaster. Something that's always in the back of my mind I wanted to do, until suddenly I get given this offer and this opportunity to say, well, that works for us. When can you start? I'm like, hang on, I don't have a business yet. They're like, so start one, why don't you? So within less than 2 months, within about 6 weeks or so, I had handed in my resignation, started a business, and it started working on my first client. And yeah, rest is history. And now I'm on a virtual talk show with you.
Yay!
And it's 2.5 years in. Yeah.
2.5 years, yeah?
2.5 years, yeah.
Wow. All right.
Quite something.
How has it been being on your own?
It's tough. It's very hard. I'm a social butterfly. I love interacting and engaging with people all the time. It's been an incredible learning experience and a journey. I mean, it has opened up so many more doors in terms of extending and expanding my network. It's been very rewarding, but also one of the most challenging things you'll ever take on in your life. I mean, by no means is starting your own business in the life of entrepreneurship meant for everybody. There's probably like a select few of us crazy folk who think let's go for it. You need a lot of grit. But yeah, I have no regrets about it. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So you know, being in business right now, being on your own, and it has been like 2.5 years for you, right?
Mm.
And we got into a global situation here, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and whether we like it or not, what's happening right now is affecting small, micro, small, medium businesses. Even Marriott's president came online and said that this has been the biggest blow to the Marriott's brand, right? So how has it
Mm.
been like, in South Africa? And how, when I asked that question, is how has it been um, affecting the economy? When I say the economy, we know that most of the developing countries' economy is fueled by micro, small, and medium businesses. And
Yeah.
how is it affecting this ecosystem back in South Africa?
So it's quite a loaded question. It's definitely hit South Africa with a huge blow. South Africa has an extremely high unemployment rate,
Mm-hmm,
but also has a very strong entrepreneurial spirit. And I think that entrepreneurial spirit that South Africa has is based on, you know, um, a life cycle of survival, right? Is, you know, I think a lot of South Africans kind of realize they can't rely on governments to fund them and look after them. They get frustrated up to a point and then realize that they need to take matters into their own hands. They need to create a job for themselves. So there's this very small sort of portion or element of our economy that is supported by big corporates and government. The SME sector is a major space in terms of our GDP and our growth.
mm-hmm,
So our government realizes that they understand that. So as soon as the lockdown was announced, um, at the same time they sort of said that they are implementing certain measures in place to support small SME businesses as much as possible in terms of funding and what's kind of dubbed payment holidays.
mm-hmm,
So if you have rental and bond installments and that to pay, that the banks are giving you a 3-month grace period where, just to help with sort of cash flows and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot that, initiative being taken, but, it's something that has come as a shock. It's such a quick space, so suddenly,
mm-hmm.
and to tackle on such a big task like that, the implementation thereof is sort of very challenging. But we definitely sort of have a society of people that are extremely resourceful. We're a very resourceful nation. And so immediately, I mean, I have friends of mine that are sort of in the hospitality space in terms of
Yep.
catering and restaurants and cafes. And as soon as the lockdown was announced, you can't, you know, your business is shut down. No one can come to your cafe or your restaurant anymore. But they've managed to apply for a critical skills pass so that they can still operate in business and become a sort of partner with career delivery services. So, yeah, a friend of mine runs a catering business very successfully for the past 5 years, and predominantly caters for corporates in a local startup hub in the city center. So, obviously it affects his business, drastically, but within 5 days he managed to get sort of certificate and sort of accreditation as a critical skills,
Mm-hmm.
and he's busier than ever, packing food parcels and everything, delivery services to the hotels that have travelers who are pretty much stranded in the hotels,
Mm-hmm.
foreign nationals. So he's basically catering food towards them that's linked up with the hotel chain. So there's a lot of, very on the spot thinking and sort of innovations sort of coming into place. So which opens up a new possible market for his business.
Mhm.
So that's just one of the examples. Yeah.
And how are the businesses in South Africa adapting to the situation right now? What are the challenges? Um, Obviously, like the catering company you just mentioned is probably one in Malaysia, right? That adapting could be a challenge, but how is it like in South Africa?
So I would definitely say for like smaller businesses, you're a lot more agile, so you can adapt quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But for big corporations, it's obviously a lot more difficult. So I think I sort of try my best to keep up to date with the local international news. And from a big corporate space, we've seen some corporates have come forward and sort of said that, in order to be able to keep their not to have staff layoffs impacted too drastically. Sort of like the executive board and executive senior management have sort of volunteered to take a 30% cut in their salary so that they can use that money to afford to cover salaries of, the bigger staff, so that, keep people employed and not have to, have too many people lose their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, and then also in terms of everything online and working remotely from home,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot being done that way. So, um, especially in terms of, everyone setting up a home office now.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a lot of people find it very challenging in terms of, having your home office or not used to working from home. I suppose you and I, we're very used to the homework life, the digital space and doing things virtually.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of businesses and that, it's not the case. So I think businesses are quickly waking up to the fact and the realization that you don't have to be in the office 9 to 5, and get stuck in peak hour traffic. That, from a major perspective, friends and contacts that I've been in touch with the past 2 weeks have said that they find themselves being a lot more productive, a lot less stressed, ironically enough, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, they kind of feel like they sleep well, they're busier than ever before, but they're in the comfort of their own home and they're in a safe environment and a safe space and they can just focus and get work done. I suppose obviously if you have kids, um, it can be a bit more challenging. But again, it's like you have no choice but to make it work. And I kind of feel like people are making it work. There's definitely a stronger sense of community.
Mm-hmm. What?
Um,
Sorry, you were saying?
I'd say there's a stronger sense of community in the sense that um, you know all of a sudden people that you would say oh, would sort of make an excuse to not get in touch or because of a distance or a time issue. It's now there's time.
Yep.
And you can't really say, oh well, the distance is an issue anymore. It's like you've got a call.
Mm-hmm.
I think also in terms of traveling, like business travel, South Africa is also known for being one of the busiest like airline travel between Cape Town and Johannesburg, the two major cities that are commuting. Like business executives take a 2 hour flight, sometimes on a daily basis or weekly basis. Is a lot in terms of an executive would take a flight in the morning, fly over to Johannesburg or Cape Town just to attend one meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary. Like you can do these things virtually and save so much time, so much money, be so much friendlier on the environment and the economy and that sort of stuff. So things like that are like changing, and I suppose perhaps businesses also realizing that can cut costs a lot more. I think there's definitely a wake up call in terms of frugal spending,
Mhm.
on unnecessary sort of
Except
aspects of
for when
business.
you get to travel to a conference and make new friends, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was there was actually so I'm in the digital media space, and in March, one of the biggest industry conferences and award ceremonies that happens every year. So I was a speaker and a judge for it last year and the year before. I've been attending that conference every year for several years. They announced the cancellation of the conference before the lockdown, before it was made legal, because they kind of see it coming. But they pretty much digitized the whole industry award ceremony on an Instagram live feed.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did pre-recordings of the judges and the nominees, and even the MC that they had hired was still there. And it was amazing. The email marketing campaign still went out. Everyone got their email to say, you know, join in Instagram live,
Mm-hmm.
and like the whole production went through, and it was brilliantly executed. It was amazing. I mean, then you had the locals that would be attending the award ceremony. Obviously, everyone gets dressed up to attend this glamorous awards. Some of them even still went ahead and dressed up in their home and had their suits and their dresses and their glamorous shirts on, and joined in on the Instagram live feed and followed the hashtags and everything. And it was really cool. So innovative things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next question that I'm going to ask is that, you work with clients, right? And probably there are some clients or maybe entrepreneurs that that um, they just because of the lockdown that now they are slowly transitioning their business processes or their marketing activities um, to online right now, digitally right now.
Mm-hmm.
What's the transition like within the business ecosystem back in South Africa?
So you're asking from a marketing perspective in terms of like the marketing
Marketing,
strategy.
or just to have their business going, and
Yeah.
the tool that we have right now is digital, right? Working from home
Mm,
is digital, and
mm.
the how to continue, how to actually move on, have their business move on the digital platform. Are there any challenges that these businesses are facing back in South Africa? Because in Malaysia, it's a huge problem here.
So what sort of problems do you experience in Malaysia? Like that
Um,
you're experiencing with the businesses?
okay, so for example, okay, so obviously, right, how to actually leverage on social media marketing, how to
Mm,
automate your email marketing. So because I am a marketeer, so it's more about the marketing perspective for me.
mm-hmm.
So simple little things like, how do I go live, right? How do I set up live? And as the MCO started, or when coronavirus got really serious, Facebook, as one of the
Mm-hmm.
biggest social media platform for digital marketing, has got its policy stringent, their privacy policy stringent. So it's more difficult now to actually fill up the business manager, the ads manager on Facebook right now. So they change a few things to make it tighter. And, just understanding that, just understanding the online marketing funnel, because it's really different than the offline marketing funnel. And,
Yeah.
just creating content to put out there. So that is a challenge. Well, and to some people, they don't even
Mm.
have a Zoom account, right?
So
So,
I've had quite a few people that actually I've had probably about 5 people in the past few days
Mm-hmm.
approached me and introduced me. Have you heard of Zoom?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, like I've been using it for years, but things like this that most people, and us being very sort of digital savvy and tech savvy people, because this is the industry and our profession that we're sort of clued up in, is it's definitely been an eye opener that people that
Mm-hmm.
are not necessarily linked to digital media or marketing industries in much of a way are often, oblivious to so much tools and technology that's available to them, but they're just not aware of it.
Yep.
And this whole pandemic and lockdown has been, an incredible sort of experience where now people are discovering tools and applications and that were always available, just they just never knew about it. So what I've been seeing as a major trend at the moment in the past 2 weeks for businesses is webinars is booming at the moment. Um, everything from accounting firms to banking to small businesses, local communities, anything for events and that. Everyone is getting on board and offering webinars and online workshops and tutorials and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot happening in South Africa in terms of webinars gaining traction, and that's where the Zoom and the Google Hangouts and those applications coming through. Also, the surge in that happening on a global scale obviously puts an enormous amount of pressure on companies like Zoom and Skype that all of a sudden are having this huge demand. And it's opening up opportunities for local South African businesses that are also offering the same sort of thing. So there's South African platforms that also do sort of a similar thing to Zoom and Google Hangouts. Again, you and I were talking a little bit earlier about the cost of data and internet connections being,
Mm-hmm.
a major
Yep.
challenge and barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my former clients that I had for about over a year in my company, they offer what's known as a data-free service, data-free solution.
Mm-hmm.
So how it works is they have reverse billing. So you as the end user, if you don't have enough airtime or data to stay connected, um, the company is able to sponsor and subsidize it. So they can basically make any website or mobile application data free to their end user. So it's allowing them to keep connected with their staff. So
Mm-hmm.
they're now busier than ever before.
Yep. Yep.
And yeah, so where they've now getting a whole bunch of big corporate companies are approaching them and saying them, we need to make our website or application data free so that we can still keep in contact not just with the customers, but also with the employees and the staff internally, because even the staff,
Yep.
are incurring that cost, sort of thing. So there's, there's a lot of innovative things that are sort of happening.
Yeah. So what we
Mm.
have here in Malaysia is that when the MCO started, right? For in Malaysia, we call our partial lockdown as MCO, Movement Control Order, and
Okay.
um, the Prime Minister announced that everyone is entitled to a 1 gig data, right? But that is not enough because I've been running community classes, I've been running live videos, and even me on a paid postpaid plan, my
Yeah.
internet has the performance of it has gone down like significantly, right? So what
Mm.
more for people who rely on prepaid data
Mm.
here in Malaysia? So
Okay.
even consumption right now, consuming education or actually to be proactive and getting their business to digital is actually a challenge right now because of that um, currency, right?
Mm.
A shortage of that currency that's available, or I'm just not in a financial situation where I could get a bulk of that right now.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah,
happening.
we're definitely experiencing the same in South Africa. I mean, we've always had issues with high cost of data and connectivity. You know, even the cost of making a phone call is so expensive. And majority of the South African population is on prepaid.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're buying a data bundle on prepaid, it's more expensive than if you were to be buying internet on a fixed term contract that binds you in for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody can afford or qualifies for those sort of contracts. So it's one of those things that in South Africa has been an issue, and we've kind of been fighting with the telcos
Mm-hmm.
on lowering their cost of data and phone connectivity and that, because it definitely stifles the economy if the cost of data and internet and connectivity is so expensive. It's extremely limiting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and there's been numerous debates about essential services where the internet is now an essential service. You should not be stifling an essential service such as the internet. It's almost like water. We need it in this economy, in this society, in order to survive and to earn a living, and to stay connected. So yeah, I mean, I have a couple of opinions and things on them. I'd rather keep some of those to myself. Otherwise, those telco executives might. I don't know. I've got some friends that work for those companies in the digital departments, and that's. but yeah, I think it's definitely. I suppose it's kind of reassuring for us in a way to know that, we're not alone in South Africa in terms of these sort of challenges, in terms of internet and connectivity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I actually didn't realize that that was also a thing, in Malaysia. Like 1 gig of data it's not enough to get by. I
That's not
mean,
enough, right?
that's one Netflix movie done. you
and
know?
and what's the openness like? What's how the agility of the entrepreneurs back in South Africa in accepting the reality that, what, this is what's happening right now. I better not complain, better not waste the time that
Yeah.
I've been gifted right now, because I guess the one thing that's good that has came out of this is actually we have been gifted the
Excuse me.
bless you, with the most valuable currency in our life, which is time, right? And
Mm,
you know um, in adapting, openness in adapting to reality that I need to do something right now, and if I do not know how to do it, then I gotta reach out and make this happen, to actually move whatever that I am doing to tech, to digital, to
yeah.
social media. What's the openness like within the entrepreneur ecosystem back in South Africa?
So I'd say the entrepreneur ecosystem from a digital space
Mm-hmm.
is so my office is based at FinTech Hub, a startup tech hub in Cape Town.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with the lockdown, we're about 30 30 plus startup companies that are based at this workspace, and there's a really strong sense. I'd even go as far as to say it's beyond a strong sense of community. It's almost becomes like a family,
Mm-hmm.
where entrepreneurs all want to see each other thrive. So there's no one in the entrepreneur community, at least from my experience, that wants to see you fail.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to see you succeed.
Yep.
So you've got a lot of moral support in that scenario. And there's a lot being done on having events and workshops and that are free to attend, and you get industry experts that come and give talks and everything. But obviously, with the lockdown, not being able to go to the office and be surrounded with that tech hub, we're still able to keep in contact through social networks and channels like Slack and email, to sort of keep in contact with each other, bounce off ideas, still host events, but in webinar format. And yeah, it's really pretty much like that sense of community has not deteriorated. I think it's actually been amplified through this experience. It's just everything's now in digital format. So even for those that have limitations on, not being able to stream live or join a Facebook live watch party or the webinar, is just asking to say, is it available for download? If it's not available for download, is it available just to get the notes from it? There's a very strong sense of sort of helping each other out, like sort of paying it forward scenario. It's just everyone is kind of getting in together to help each other. So I think that's definitely something that stands out in terms of the entrepreneurial sort of community in South Africa. For a corporate space, haven't really been in corporate for much of a long time, so I wouldn't know in that space. But I think, yeah, there's a lot of innovation. Businesses are having to pivot now. So what maybe was working before, but now realizing that, even after lockdown, after this pandemic is over, the world's never going to be the same again. It's definitely going to be a lot more different.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on in terms of re-strategizing, reviewing everything, and looking at new opportunities. Entrepreneurs are, the optimistic opportunists, right? It's just ingrained in us to see the opportunity in anything. You don't want to turn down any opportunity. Every opportunity is worthwhile exploring.
Especially now, right? I get to test
especially now.
out now. There's no other time that I could actually test this out.
Yeah. And I've been getting a lot of sort of requests, contacts via LinkedIn and email and WhatsApp messages, saying, hey, need some help. Do you have any referrals? Do you know who can help us? Can you help us with marketing or recommendations? If you can't help us, do you know who can, or refer us to sort of people? So things like that, that's sort of bringing the community closer together. That, I suppose this is definitely a time where a lot of people, forced to put their pride in their pocket and actually, admit that they don't know what they're doing, or they're not equipped to sort of do this on their own. You have to ask for help. And I think it's a pleasant surprise that if you put yourself out there and you ask for help, how rewarding it is that people come back and want to be able to help. So yeah, those are some of the things that I've started noticing.
Yeah. So what have been your best practice so far? It has been 2 weeks, right? So you know what, I was just talking to Carlif, so my husband, but I'm just talk to the audience, right? Last night, that it has been 22 days, and 21 days has we've passed the 21 days mark, right? So whatever that we are doing right now, for us here in Malaysia, 21 days already. And the kind of mindset that we have, the kind of habit that we are creating at home or around business, or how are we taking on our work at home, our clients, our moving forward, our being agile in digital, exploring new things, has become a habit, right? So I think, that's cool, right? But what have been your best practice so far? And it has been 2 weeks now for you.
So I suppose my personal sort of habits that I've adapted these past 2 weeks is probably not recommended for the majority of people. I would say it's almost counterintuitive. Might spark more unproductivity with most people because I myself personally am definitely a busybody. I'm on the go all the time, fast paced, all over the place. And I've used this opportunity to really slow down. I don't have to set my alarm for early in the morning so that I can go to the gym, shower, change, like, then, have time to go in traffic, find parking, go to a meeting, set up all these sort of things, where when you're doing it out on the go all the time, it's quite time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually stopped setting my alarm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an alarm to wake me up in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up when I wake up,
Mm-hmm.
and I take my time. I really do take my time. There's that whole thing of, working 8, 9, 12 hours, 16 hours in a day and forcing yourself just to work hard and grind the whole time. It's not really productive. So almost using the time for peace and quiet and reflection
Mm-hmm.
has been a good habit for myself. Spending a lot of time more reading and learning and studying, whereas, when on the go, it's just doing the usual hamster wheel rat race kind of lifestyle. So I've just been developing new habits, and I hope those habits stay even after lockdown when we get to go out. That, perhaps some days, like I think the past like weeks for everyone in lockdown, every day kind of feels like a Saturday. There's no difference between a Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday anymore for people. It's like, what does it matter? So I kind of just allow myself to, if I want to take a Monday off, or if it's Wednesday or Tuesday, if I'm not in that right frame of mind, or in that space to be productive or to think creatively or whatever, if I want to take that day off, I can take that day off. Obviously, I'm my own business owner. So I have that sort of luxuries. Not everyone does. People who are maybe employees have to sort of abide by those sort of things. But definitely taking time for yourself, just to sort of slow the pace down and rather focus on how you can work smarter as opposed to harder. That a lot of people have realized that in lockdown, you actually have more hours in the day than you thought. You actually do have more time now. So now use this opportunity to use it more wisely. You don't have to get stuck in traffic anymore. You don't have to do the school run anymore.
Right.
You've got an extra 1 or 2 hours at least in a day to, make that happen. A friend of mine who's a mother to a toddler baby, like a newborn, is about a year old, massive handful, still has her day job, has a lot of work that, needs to get in. But her company have sort of issued that, because people don't have to go into traffic and that, they just need to be online, can kind of choose your own hourly shifts, right? It's just establishing all staff members need to be available at this time or on this day in the morning so that everyone can be on call for the status meeting updates and be available. But if you want to take a 2 hour siesta, extended lunch break, you can do so. And the kids
Wow.
are in bed, then you can work. So things are changing now more in terms of stifling the structure of like you must be working between this time and that time. It's just now everything is a lot more project focused. There's a project that needs to be done, there's a deadline. It doesn't matter how you do it, when you do it, just make sure it gets done. So if you're doing it on a weekend, if you're doing it in the middle of the night, if first thing early in the morning, that's okay. It's just getting done. I think that's definitely a positive new habits that are sort of being installed. And I suppose I think a lot of people are forced to be more disciplined with their time now. So I would say those are some good habits that, or well, at least that should be implemented, is having some sort of new structure and schedules. But clearly, the new schedules that people are putting out for their day is definitely geared around more productivity,
Definitely, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
much more in terms of productivity and not so much on the old, almost like old school way of 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm so you know what? I think the thing that you have been taking in as habit has been a forever struggle with me, lockdown or no lockdown. So I realized that I've been like super busy. So I've been starting to work from home even before our lockdown in Malaysia happened, because
Mm.
I foresee that it's going to happen. And I was kind of afraid to get into the office because we have to go through a few screen tests before we can actually scan our card and get to the lift, right? So I thought that, hey, you know what? I can work from home. And I realized that my time has been crazy every single day. And it's funny that even on a Sunday, I was like putting myself, and this is because of me, right? It's really obvious that I'm putting myself on a guilt trip because I just feel like I wanted to take the day off simply because I'm working with so many clients, giving so many ideas, running so many projects, and I feel that this is the time to give to the community and all that. But the great thing that I get to do is I'm a night owl. I get to stay up late and I get to wake up a little bit later than the normal time that I have to
Mm-hmm.
wake up for school runs and all that.
Mm.
But I am really enjoying it because, yeah, I guess I'm seeing how the business ecosystem in Malaysia is shifting, not only in Malaysia, in the whole world, I guess. It's like a paradigm shift, that this is gonna be the new normal, however it is right now, or however that we are transitioning into the post COVID-19 normal.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much opportunities that I see. There's so many ideas. It's funny how I would get into the shower, and every time that I come out, I'll get a fresh new idea. And that it's for me, it's just exhilarating for me, um, because there's just so many ideas, and because it's digital, it can be done. You see, it's, how would I say it, right? How maybe you can say it in a more uh, so that people would understand that because it's digital, we can find ways of on doing it, executing it, because it's
I
digital.
think, yeah, I think, this experience in this lockdown has kind of opened people's eyes up to realizing that things are a lot more accessible than you think or that you ever thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just about when things are when there's a necessity to go online and to innovate and pivot your business in order to survive economically, you then realize that there is a lot more accessibility than what you knew before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so hopefully, after the lockdown, there won't be too many of these new improved habits and processes and productivity measures that sort of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that get lost, in that space.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely interesting times indeed. I do see that we have a question
Yeah.
or two
Yeah.
uh,
So
about e-commerce on monetization.
and that's from Aryan.
Yeah, we know Ariane, how's it?
His question is, um, maybe okay, his question is, should e-commerce monetize their traffic? You're the
I
expert here.
so yeah, I know that question. So, but I would say the short answer would be no, because what they're already doing is they're monetizing their traffic in terms of everything that a person is coming to that site for is for the purpose to purchase something on that site, product that they're selling. So if they were to want to include other forms of monetization in the form of advertising or brand sponsorships, um, I wouldn't go the display advertising route on that one. If that's your question, Ariane,
Mm-hmm.
if it's linked towards that. But there's definitely with e-commerce sites, if you have a lot of products and brands and partners that are trying to promote their businesses and their products and services on your site, you could probably, one of the monetization tactics in that would be to include a sort of paid for feature.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much like
Yeah,
what you see when you go onto Google for Google advertising on search.
like level up
You
your subscription.
pay a premium to make sure that your product is standing out there against its competitors,
Mm-hmm.
that it's sort of at the top of the search list. I would say that would probably be the best way if those e-commerce sites are not necessarily doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so it's expected, right? When the two of us get to have the time to talk, then we'll definitely overshoot our time. So, but I don't want to let you go before asking you this question, right? So, what um, what was the experience or that you have done for yourself? Is there anything different digitally that you've done uh, for yourself ever since the lockdown happened, or that is the first question. And the second question is, what is your advice, because you're a consultant, you do consulting work, what is your advice to your clients, existing clients who are struggling to digitize anything right now in their business?
Okay. So for myself,
Mhm.
just repeat that question.
Okay.
What have I?
What have you done with
Mhm.
yourself, digitally right now? Has it been any different than,
Uh,
what you're used to doing for yourself and also your clients, your advice or
ah,
your,
I
um,
see. So I don't think there's much different in terms of the way I operate,
mhm.
because I'm always in digital. So not too much has changed in that regard. I think quite a few of clients that I've dealt with, I've never even met in person before. They find me through my website. I get an email, or they find me through LinkedIn. We have a call, maybe, sort of do a strat session. If they're in different cities or different countries or time zones and not able to join in a face-to-face meeting or a strategy session, we do it virtually via a conference call or even just a normal standard phone call. Obviously, it's not as ideal. Sometimes, certain meetings are best to be had in person. You can just get a lot more value out of in-person strategy sessions and meetings and workshops and training and that sort of thing. But yeah, wouldn't necessarily say there's a limitation to it in that sense.
Mhm.
Um, for clients, um, I would definitely say, a lot of clients that are not experienced in terms of digitizing or digitally transforming their businesses and that are sort of in the state of panic now, um, sometimes it is best, it can be very costly in the long run, especially when time is of the essence,
Mhm.
that you invest in the wrong technology
Mhm.
or you implementing something in the incorrect manner, or you don't quite fully understand how it all works and connected together. That's where leveraging on industry experts and freelancers and consultants to help you facilitate that can be a really good investment.
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to trying to do it on your own. In the past, I've had quite a few clients that, have always sort of been sitting on the fence on, no, they're not quite ready to go that route. They're sort of putting it off. And now, as everything has just suddenly changed, now they realize, oh, they need to get this done quickly. They should have done it sooner. But if you rush into, you know, implementing new things and transforming businesses in certain ways without doing your due diligence, it could be costly. So a lot of people are trying to do, whatever needs to be done in the short term without considering the mid to long term objectives. So I suppose my advice would be to clients, and whatever strategy that you're looking to, for your business or even yourself for now, is yes, the situation that we're in now,
Mm-hmm.
with the pandemic and the lockdown and everything, has, obviously pushed people to make quick decisions, for the short term.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you have to do that. There's no way of avoiding that. Otherwise you won't survive, or your business won't survive. But don't forget about the mid to long term.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you're just going to feel like you're running around like a headless chicken. If you're going to be operating your business and strategy on the short term all the time, you're always going to be playing catch up. So yeah, I'd say that'd be the best advice I could give.
Yeah. So I've, ever since our lockdown happened here in Malaysia, we have been working with a few clients. So I would love to talk about and share to our audience, with our audience here, about this one particular client. So this client has quite a big brand. I don't know whether you've heard of this fruit here in Malaysia, in Asia. It's called durian.
Yes, I've heard
Yes,
of the
it has
durian.
thorns on it,
You
right?
have to wear gloves.
Yeah. So his durian business, win awards um, nationally here in Malaysia, and as the lockdown happened, so he had this contact of farmers like 2-3 hours drive from here is the highlands, right? And he was looking for ways to actually distribute or sell these vegetables, and he wanted to create a platform, and he came to us and speak to us about, what, how do I get my brand out there? And we started the project on the 29th of March, right? Because he was looking at our live videos. We've been doing live videos every single day. So myself, I've been doing live videos ever since the 12th of March, and he just didn't know how to set up everything. And we had his Facebook page going, and all the shebangs that came with it. And you know what? On the first day, we had so his first day income was really really good, and moving on to, I don't know whether or not I can say what was the income like, but it was really really good. It's like in like a week we have built him a million ringgit business, and the views after 1 week was 500,000 views. So that and a lot of that happened because of partnership, and many of the things that solutions that you have been talking about is about partnership, about being strategic, about what
Mm.
what could you move forward with, right? What strategies could
Yeah.
you move forward with? Hmm.
Yeah,
So
I would say like a good business tactic or a strategic business move would be, whatever decisions you're making for your business now, think about, um, how long do you plan on keeping that for your business? Is it just for now during this lockdown, or are you planning to continue implementing this business strategy for the rest of the year or for several years to come? and the benefits thereof of that. And it kind of helps you sort of align your priorities in terms of where you need to be investing your time, effort, and resources into that. Um, and yeah, and like you said, you reap the benefits of that, so it's good. Also, I think just in closing, because I know we're so way over time.
Yeah.
One of the other things is definitely, sort of the online learning portals has sort of boomed a lot. So there's lots of, sort of free online courses and online training or certification training in that. So a big part of what I do is custom corporate workshops, which has been keeping me busy, but it's all in-person workshops. So generally what happens is companies will subsidize for their employees to go through corporate sort of training programs, where most of it's done online, but then it has workshop facilitators such as myself that, sort of help align everything and, leading up to their exams or when they have to submit their work and their modules. So obviously now with lockdown, it's not that easy to do that. So, looking at various technologies that you can still do it remotely, there's a lot of it available. So still viable to do that. But I suppose one of the things that I've done, and it's something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, because I'm only one person that's able to do a workshop or training once at a time. I can't be in 2 or 3 different places simultaneously and to give that training. So I've been looking at like a business strategy. Something that I've been wanting to do for a long time is to be able to sort of create an online course, and make it available online or sell it online and that sort of thing. So that's one of the things for me digitally. I'm using this time to actually do that, so that it's not only limited to people that I'm able to train in person, but can train or, can still learn and benefit even if I'm not physically there or available at that time. Be done in people's own time. So I think that's also the way education is changing and evolving. You don't have to go to class or lectures anymore. You can do it remotely, So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. And I see my children are doing it from home now. And yeah. So what would you as a wrap up, you spoke about, asking myself, how would whatever that I'm doing right now for my business is contributing to a long-term strategy, right? Uh, and how would you, what is the question, or maybe what would you want to leave our audience with right now? Any tips, thoughts?
So parting notes, I suppose in terms of like giving back, if anybody does want to get in touch with me, you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn or via my business website, pragmatica.co.za.
Okay, let me just put that on the screen. Hang on, yeah.
Sure.
Www.pragmatica. Your Pragmatica is spelled CA at the back, right?
Correct. So it's double TICA. So yeah. So, or they can add me on LinkedIn.
Pragmatica.
Yeah. So, or they can add me on LinkedIn. And I'm more than happy to do a free 20-minute intro call or 30-minute, consulting session. Oh, that's the wrong website, my darling. It's .co.za, not .com.
Dot what? Sorry?
.co.za. It's not .com.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. So yeah, I suppose just to sort of give back, be able to offer a free 20-minute to 30-minute consulting session via conference call. And yeah, we'll take it from there. If
Awesome.
anyone needs help with monetization strategies or just wants to pick my brain.
Yeah, that
Happy
would
to
be
do it.
awesome. And I'm definitely gonna be one of the Zoom calls with you. All right.
Okay. Or on WhatsApp as well, yeah.
So
Okay,
this,
cool.
so this is us saying bye for this show today, right? Tonight. It's today there in South Africa. It's tonight here in Malaysia, right?
Yes.
And we just would like to share with you every single day the questions that the main questions that I've been asking myself daily is that, what kind of solution that I could contribute to the community right now. What is the problem that I could help my community to, um, what kind of solution that I could provide to the community right now. That's basically it, right? What is the biggest problem that my community is facing right now? And what is that one thing that I could do today that would help me to rise post COVID-19, rise victorious post COVID-19. What is it one thing that I could do? So that
Mm-hmm.
has been helping me a lot moving forward, every day, being in the move, getting creative with ideas. Yeah. So just thought that I would like to share that with you and our audience for today.
Okay.
All right. You know what? I'm going to ask you this question, and you do not need to go deep, about it. All right. So, what would you do if you weren't afraid? That is her
I
right story team.
yeah. No, I'd say fear is a good feeling to have. So it prevents you from getting into a lot of trouble. If you were just utterly fearless,
Mhm,
you'd probably get away with, probably do a lot of stupid things or irresponsible things. But
mhm,
I think for me, especially living in a country that has an extremely high crime rate,
mhm,
we're always concerned about our personal safety. So if I felt safe wherever I am, I feel like I'd be able to be a lot more a bigger contributor to the local communities, but there's a lot of things that we want to do and would love to be able to do, but it's not necessarily safe for us, especially as women, to do that,
mhm.
especially in terms of giving back to local communities and to the underprivileged. Things like that is definitely, I would definitely spend a lot more of my time helping out communities, and that if it was a safe environment to do so.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I like that answer.
Mm.
So,
Thank you. You're welcome.
thank you so much again, Amanda, or Mandy, that
Right.
I normally call you. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for having late lunch because of the show, right?
No
Okay,
problem.
so I would push out your 20-minute slot through my Facebook page, okay, and my
Sure.
community, and we'll talk more soon.
Fantastic. It was
Okay,
so good to see you and catch up again.
yeah.
And thanks for having me.
Sorry,
All
what did you say?
right. I said thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
saying yes to this. All
All
right.
right.
Bye. Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.